Um, Today I wanted to share a poem that I found, kind of stumbled on during retreat, that provided a lot of inspiration, and just to share my personal enthusiasm for poetry, and the way that it can really influence the mind and kind of leave these images that you can carry with you throughout the day, and they can kind of rise up and then kind of just be a prompt for a virtuous mind or for inspiration kind of when you least expect it. So first of all, if you could all close your eyes, I'm going to read you this short 5-verse poem because I think you're going to experience it better just feeling it. So this is Emptiness, Meditation, and Action. An image of a sun enthroned in the heavens, radiating 1,000 beams of light, were one to shower bright rays of love upon all living beings. How excellent. An image of a kingly eagle gliding high in space, were one's mind to glide without grasping in the space of truth itself, clear and void. How excellent. An image of a fresh white cloud, bright, pure, and drifting freely, were one to build clear, blissful absorption in the perfect mystic mandala. How excellent. An image of a grey wind blowing forcefully through the sky, were one to maintain an energy flow always beneficial to others, the best of spiritual practices, never artificial. How excellent. An image of a vast sky, everywhere free of obstruction, or this song on emptiness, meditation, and action, without hindrance to benefit the world. How excellent. So that's by the 7th Dalai Lama, and he was born in 1708, and supposedly he started composing songs and poems at the age of 5, just breaking out into them. And this is from a collection of his works called Songs and Advice for Spiritual Change. And when I first read these 5 short verses, I was just kind of transported with the images that came to my mind. It just spoke at a really deep level, and each time I read it, it kind of deepened. And supposedly it's a particular genre of poetry where it's about, it encaptures the entire path to enlightenment of just having the 3 elements of emptiness, meditation, action. So I thought I'd just comment on a few of why it was so magical for me. So the first verse is about the action. It's the method side of the path. So again, an image of a sun enthroned in the heavens, radiating 1,000 beams of light, or one to shower bright rays of love upon all living beings. How excellent. I think what got me was the effortlessness that it speaks of, in terms of no one asks the sun to shine. It just does so, and it does freely. It doesn't ask for anything in return. There's no strings attached. And it kind of reminds me of the simple pleasure that I have when I'm walking or I'm somewhere and then the sun comes out and it just touches my face and I have that brief warmth. And I think the joy from that arises that there's no transaction going on. It's not, I don't have to give anything in return, or it's not asking me for anything. And whilst the sun's rays are impermanent and kind of they come, they go, the warmth and the love and the compassion of the Buddhas is constant. It's fluctuating, it changes according to the needs of the beings that are receiving it, but it's always there. And I guess with each of these verses always ending with how excellent, it kind of, it led me just to go, yes, how amazingly excellent it would be if to radiate 1,000 beams of light, or to have the 1,000 arms of Chenrezig that could embrace the suffering of all sentient beings and help them in each way that they need. And then the second verse is emptiness. It's the wisdom side of the path. So an image of a kingly eagle gliding high in space, where one's mind to glide without grasping in the space of truth itself, clear and void. How excellent. And immediately this brought to mind venerable children's story of Lama Yeshe's advice about how to die, in terms of just taking off like a bird from a ship, just not looking back, to glide freely without grasping in the space of truth itself. And during retreat, I had this space to see how much I was sticking to things, either ideas in my mind or to physical things around me. and that I wasn't in that high space of having the perspective of seeing things clearly, kind of looking down, but was kind of in the thick of it, in the muck, not really being able to see things clearly. But just reading that verse and having that image, it almost made me kind of look up and just go, oh, there could be that space of this truth that I could have access to. It affirmed the idea of my own potential to have the wisdom that understands the true nature of reality, and to have the mind that actually is abiding in that truth, or is that truth itself. And then the fourth paragraph, I'm going to skip the third, is the why, in terms of the purpose, like why do we meditate on, or why these three aspects of emptiness, meditation, action? What does it lead us to do? And that's to be of benefit. So an image of a grey wind flowing forcefully through the sky, were one to maintain an energy flow always beneficial to others, the best of spiritual practices, never artificial. How excellent. And this reminded me of something I've heard Lama Zopa Rinpoche say, in terms of sentient beings come first, enlightenment comes second. And at first I was like, huh? I thought the whole point was to become a Buddha. I think Venerable Cheni touched on this in the recent Gomchen Lamrim review, where I was talking about the two aspirations of bodhicitta, which has two aspirations. And the one is to become enlightened, but the primary one is to benefit sentient beings. And so enlightenment is just the way to achieve that. So that verse kind of really made that more sense to me. And another key thing here was the idea of forcefully, in terms of dispelling the idea that compassion is weak, or that it's about being a pushover or becoming a doormat. But it's not. It has power, it has strength, and it can bring powerful results. And it also speaks to the effort that one needs to exert in terms of developing a powerful energy always beneficial to others. There's going to take some effort to learn, to come to grips with the practices, and then to actually do them. So not in terms of forcing myself to do a practice if my mind is really resistant, but to find a practice that works at that time, and then to do that with force, to commit myself to it, and to actually embrace it, and to not kind of do it half-heartedly. The last verse is of dedication, an image of a vast sky everywhere free of obstruction, where the song on emptiness, meditation, and action without hindrance to benefit the world. How excellent. This really got me. When I first read it, I kind of just came to the end and read it a couple of times, and I couldn't quite figure out why it was touching me so much. And I think I came to realize that here at the Abbey, or in my own life, we dedicate after most of the actions that we do together. But I find that often I do it quickly without thinking too much. It's a bit rote. I don't really connect in with the purpose of what I'm doing, or the significance of the action. But in this little verse, it's like the seventh Dalai Lama is telling me this is the entire practice of dedicating. And here I think I'm seeing the motivation and dedication as two sides of the same coin. In terms of that we have this mind, we have this energy, and then the dedication is what we're doing with it. It's the essence of everything. So, yeah, this is important. And then reading this again and again, the image of a vast sky everywhere free of obstruction really spoke to me of the idea of the Dhammakaya, the omniscient mind of the Buddha, that is just free of obstruction to knowing everything. And then within that space, there's the potential to be of benefit as needed. And in this case, you could say that there's the omniscient mind of the Buddhas that's manifesting as the seventh Dalai Lama. And he saw that the potential for this really short song to inspire and be of benefit, so he composed it for us. And then there's the idea of without hindrance. So the idea of the Dalai Lama composing this for us is from the Buddhist side, is that he's composed that for us. But then from our side, we have to do things to be able to receive the enlightening influence that's there. So and not from just the Buddhas, but from our spiritual teachers and from the spiritual friends that we're practicing with as well. So what karma have I created in the past that could be obstacles to my practice, or what am I doing now that's a hindrance to my progressing along the path? So this short little song just kind of gave me a lot of inspiration and appreciation for practitioners of the past. 300 years ago, this was composed, and it's just still so timeless and impactful. And I had the aspiration to, I guess, memorize it, just to kind of keep it with me. I haven't quite got there yet, but I have had a couple of moments where I've been walking along and the sun's just shining. I'm like, how excellent. And so maybe you'll have these sources of inspiration, those moments where just the symbols of things can just touch our heart and give us appreciation for the Dhamma.